In the link down below, we have a crowdfunder for my upcoming film, Rocky Wake. If you guys want to donate to it, check out some perks. It would mean a lot. We really want to hit this goal, so please consider supporting us indie folk. We're going to talk about something completely different than an indie film, a big franchise movie. When I was younger, I actually didn't have much of an appreciation for Scream. Like, I was always big on Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was always big on those. But with Scream, I ended up appreciating Scream as I got older, like around my teens. Early adulthood, I must say. And I actually remember whenever Scream 4 came out in theaters, it was actually quite a big deal. Because in a sense, it was one of the first times that we actually seen a legacy sequel. Like, I know legacy sequels are technically a thing of today, but in reality, when Scream 4 came out, it was kind of this big return of all the characters. And, you know, it's basically doing what we were doing today, except playing the remake game. Except the remake game was the big thing when Scream 4 came out, but Scream 4 wasn't a remake. Or I guess you could say a reboot. It's interesting. It's interesting what the Scream films do. And Scream 5, I did not like really at all. Scream 6, I thought was really well executed. I enjoyed Scream 6 more than I thought I was going to. Scream 4 is probably my favorite one. Scream 3 was okay. Scream 2 was good. And the first Scream is a classic. So where could they possibly go with Scream 7? Now, Scream 7 follows Sidney Prescott as she's in this small little town living her normal life with her daughter, her husband, and Ghostface is after her again. I know, what a shock. I will say it is nice to see Sidney Prescott again because I think Sidney Prescott is the heart of this franchise. I enjoy watching her. She's kind of like Jamie Lee Curtis for me in Halloween, where I don't know. It's really hard to separate her from the franchise. Like, it was a little weird not seeing her in Scream 6, but Scream 6's story and the way that the narrative was presented kind of made it make sense in a way. Like, it was okay to have a movie without Sidney Prescott, I guess you could say. And I think the ultimate question is Scream 7 a good successor to Scream 6? Has Scream lost its mojo after 7 films? And I am going to be honest, I think it's headed that way. Some would argue that it already did that in Scream 5, and I wouldn't disagree, but I will say this. I did not dislike Scream 7. Like, I didn't hate it. But it was one of the weaker Scream movies. Like, it might be my second least favorite, with the 5th one being my least favorite. It has all the cheesy music cues. It has all the cheesy moments with dialogue. It has all of that. It has everything you want in a Scream film, but the issue that I'm having with Scream at the moment is Scream 1 was basically meta-slasher. It was very aware of itself. Scream 2, the sequel, was very aware of itself with sequels, and Scream 3 was also very aware of itself with a trilogy and how you cap off a trilogy. So when the 4th one came out, which wasn't a legacy sequel per se, but it kind of was because you still had the same characters, but they actually treated it as, oh, well, this is a reboot, it still had an agenda. Even Scream 5 kind of had an agenda as well because it was basically going on with the legacy sequels, which is kind of what we've been doing now with horror films. And Scream 6 just kind of just did its own thing. But with Scream 7, it takes Sidney Prescott and it kind of treats it the way that Halloween did it with Jamie Lee Curtis, where we're following the survivor and blah, blah, blah. It starts off as meta. The Scream franchise starts off as meta. I do fear it's getting a little satirical. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching them. I was in a packed theater today, okay? No matter what I think of Scream, no matter how I feel about it, no matter my opinions on the franchise, people don't care. They're going to go see the film. But I will say this. Going into Scream 8, if we do get a Scream 8 and a Scream 9 and a Scream 10, I do fear that it's going to get to the point where it is going to be satire. Like, I feel like we're almost at the edge of it because Scream has always been meta, or at least it's alluded to what being meta is, especially in the horror space. But now we're getting to the point to where things are starting to come off a little bit comical, a little bit goofy, which Scream has done that. But that was the charm of what it was as a horror film. Now, I do think it's starting to get to the point where it's unintentionally being that way, which can be a problem going forward. Like, the whole point of Scream is you want to know who the killer is. It's kind of a whodunit. You want to figure out who it is. My issue with it now is I don't care. I like, when I watched this film, I knew that it was going to be, it was going to be someone, but I really didn't care. I wasn't sitting there, oh, I need to find out who the Scream killer is, or the Ghostface killer is. I was just more so interested with all the decisions that they were going to make throughout the film. Because at this point, I feel like I've seen almost everything. Like, of course, there could be a new genre in the horror space or a new type of horror film, and Scream could definitely, take advantage of that. But in reality, I feel like if you want to do, like, if they don't really have anything to kind of be inspired by when it comes to genre shifting in the horror franchise or slasher franchise, then really the only thing they're going to do is do the same thing that they've been doing. But also, I think if you were to try to do something different, like if you were to try to do something like go the found footage route of Scream, or if you were to go like a Giallo route of Scream, and kind of like do things that kind of inspired by Giallo stuff, like, oh, well, this killer is, has been inspired by this film. I do think that it will get to a point where it feels a little bit like satire, at least in the horror space. And I don't want that to happen with this franchise. I feel very conflicted because I don't think that Scream 7 is a fitting end for the Scream franchise, but I do fear what they do next with Scream 8. Like, if you want my own personal opinion, technically, I think the way that they should go about it with Scream 8 is they need to bring back the lead girl from Scream 6, include her with Sidney Prescott, and they need to intertwine those stories in a big way and then wrap it off with a bow. So at least from that perspective, you're being meta within your own franchise where you can come up with like, oh, well, we're making our own rules now. We don't have any rules to go by. There's no rules to go by. Now it's our rules, if that makes sense. Because at this point, that's cool. Scream just did its own little genre thing. I don't know. Could do that. And the film is getting review bombed. Like, it's pretty bad, especially, which, it's no surprise because the lead actress from Scream 6 was removed from the sequel, which was very unfortunate. But that's why I'm saying, like, look, we're already done with Scream 7. I imagine they're running out of ideas at this point for the most part. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they are thinking of that. Maybe that, I mean, we got Sidney Prescott back, so who knows? We'll see. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. Like I said, check out our crowdfunder down below. It would mean the world to me. But anyway, take it easy. Hit that subscribe button. Later.